Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Bridging to Geekdoms. I am your host, Robert Slavinsky, and today, on this early morning drive into work, I want to talk about the news that broke yesterday. I believe it was the Hollywood Reporter actually broke it, that Ava DuVernay's and James Wan's upcoming DC films, New Gods and The Trench, have been shelved or canceled. Now, there's a lot of anger and angst and just a lot of people are freaking out on both sides of all this. From people blaming Warner Brothers, like, you don't know what you're doing, why? And then you have people on the other side because stating that it's all Snyder's fault. Now, here's the thing. We've known Warner Brothers and DC have a tremendous track record of announcing projects and then canceling them. This here is no different than what we've seen over and over and over and over again in regards to Warner Brothers and DC. So I don't know why people were shocked by this. I don't know why people were like, oh my goodness, why? Well, I kind of like the reasoning that Warner Brothers gave. I think it's fitting, and the fact that they announced that they're moving on from them is a lot better than what they've done with a lot of other movies. You know, they looked at their slate and they realized that New Gods nor The Trench fit in to what they want to be doing with the DC characters. That's, hey. Now, there's people out there saying, oh, they don't have a plan. I don't know. To me, that makes it seem like they have a plan rather than not have a plan. Do they have one? That's to be determined. But I think that people need to chill out. From the side, screaming at Warner Brothers saying they don't have a plan. I think that is just, we don't know what their plan is yet. So much of what is to come, and I've been saying this for months, it all hinges on the Flash movie. That's what it hinges off of. So when you really get down to it and you start to think about it, to me it sounds like they have a plan, but they have to wait for that movie to come out. And I'm sure we'll hear things here and there between now and then on different things that they have planned. They're just not ready to announce them yet. Now, being somebody who wants to see the Snyderverse continue, I think, and I look at this as a positive sign, that the reception of the Snyder Cut, the reception of Snyder's interpretation of Darkseid was taken relatively well. But does that mean that is technically the reason that they're canceling these movies? No. Not in the slightest. Could it have played a role? I think it could have played a role. I think it could have played a role in a roundabout way. Perhaps their slate of movies, their future of movies, has adjusted because they want to continue the Snyderverse. Perhaps they took a look and said, okay, if we continue with the Snyderverse, we've already had a slate of films. Which ones can we remove where the Snyderverse would then replace? Is that what's happening? Again, I don't know. There's so many people jumping to conclusions right now, and it's making the overall experience and fandom of DC very toxic. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We don't want the toxicity. I was looking forward to the New Gods. I was looking forward to that movie. Ava DuVernay, I'm terrible at saying her name. Ava DuVernay, she is a solid filmmaker. While her A Wrinkle in Time didn't do too hot, I was really looking forward to what she would bring to New Gods. And, having Tom King involved, I think that it could have been really, really cool. That's not to say that they won't re-explore that idea down the line. But, I think everybody's just jumping to conclusions. I think it's time to kind of sit back a little bit and say, okay, we want a New Gods, but we're not getting it. But what are we getting? And we have to keep our anticipation up. We have to stay excited. We have to wait and see. Patience is very key. I know it's hard for people. I know it's very hard when it comes to all sorts of fandoms, whether it's the Star Wars, Marvel, or DC fandom, or Lord of the Rings, or Harry Potter fandom. When we want content, we want it now. That's when we want it now. Give it to me. And I get it. But I don't think that this is a bad thing. It sucks that New Gods is gone. Honestly, Trench, I couldn't care less about. I like James Wan as a director. What he did with Aquaman. Look, Aquaman was phenomenal. It blew me away. I loved it. But even when they announced The Trench, I was just like, really? Really? That just doesn't... The idea of it being a horror film and James Wan being a horror director, all that kind of stuff, that made sense, but that was, in my opinion, that was when Warner Brothers was just throwing shit at a wall to see what stuck. Because why focus on something like The Trench when they were still yet to establish properly so many of the heroes they have that they should be making movies on before something like that. And even New Gods. Those are all the whole fourth world, the whole that whole idea would be phenomenal to put on film. But without any framework for fans to be like, okay, I'm interested to see what this is, I don't think that it would be successful. The thing with Marvel, they're doing the Eternals. That movie is coming out, and we know that there's a connection to Thanos, quite possibly to Celestials, all of which we've already seen and been and had some exposure to in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. To this point, with the exception of the Snyder Cut, New Gods, we haven't had any exposure. Steppenwolf did get out of here with that. Justice League. That was just a horrendous take on the character and didn't really even mention very much anything about the New Gods. So I think this is a good thing. I think people need to look at it as being a good thing and stop whining and crying. I do. I'm sorry. Look, I don't want to call out my my viewers or people who watch, but look, here's the deal. We want a multiverse. We want different things to happen. So many of the people that watch my show, so many people I talk to want the Snyderverse to continue. Perhaps this is how it happens. And you have to know there's going to be casualties of war. And we are in a war. We're in a war of trying to get the Snyderverse restored. And with any production company, any film studio, they have to make adjustments to make other projects become reality. And that's what's happening here. I want to see New Gods. Perhaps we will in the future. It's kind of what they said. They said, hey, you know, we're shelving it now, but hey, if we decide to come back to it in the future, Ava DuVernay will be our go-to person for it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you want to see New Gods? Are you okay with them canceling it? What do you think this means for Warner Brothers? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. What's going on, guys? Did you enjoy this video? If you did, make sure you smash that like button. And for more, hit subscribe with that little notification bell. That way, you'll be notified every time a new episode drops. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later.